All right, we have some breaking news from the Republican Club. They have a brand new television show they're here to joining us to talk about, and we want to welcome Ro Kendall and Pat Mycone to the program. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about Light on America. What's that going to be about?
Oh, it's wonderful. It's a show to open up a little bit of light onto the issues of the day. We want to focus on disinformation and misinformation. There's so much of it in the news. Mm-hmm. So we want to open a little light onto truth.
Okay.
So
that's a pretty tall order.
Isn't that, but there's so much material.
There's lots to be working on.
That's true. There is.
My goodness. Okay. And so, what was the inspiration behind the show? What made you guys say, hey, we should probably give this a shot?
Yeah, well, basically it's seeing all of the disinformation and misinformation in the media and how people aren't always aware, Michael, of what's really going on. Mm-hmm. You know, we have such division in our country right now. We want to focus on us as Americans. We hope our message in the show will be to reach out to our villagers, our little world here, and hopefully, help people be more informed with information that they may not get otherwise.
Okay. Okay. And I guess the question is, and sometimes it's, on the conservative side and the liberal side,
yeah.
Who is the bearer? Who is the holder of these truths? Right? Because something on a liberally slanted program, you might say that's not true. That's not, and then so that back and forth. So I guess it's hard to know who to trust, or how do you find that
exactly?
What was the old saying? You can have your own opinion, but you don't have the right to your own facts, kind of thing.
Right. Or my father-in-law used to say, we're both entitled to our wrong opinions. That's another way to look at it. But yeah, that's true. And what is the truth? What the source of the truth? Only God really knows the truth. We only know the truth from God. But we know it from science. Like, for instance, I have a medical background, so all of my education was scientific foundation, learning about the body and how it works and what we can do. So there's scientific knowledge, there's natural, we look in the natural life, we have gravity, we have the North Star, we have, things
right.
that we can find the truth about.
The Earth is round.
Yes, right, it's not flat.
Right,
Right,
like that.
Remember that flat Earth thing?
Yeah.
So, you're so right, it's really difficult.
Yeah. Now, Ro, will there be guests on the program? Or are they going to bring experts in, kind of thing?
Well, I think that our first show, we just wanted to let people know what we were about and what our intention was, and to welcome people. And from here on out, we're hoping to have guests because it makes the show much easier, and we'll bring to light issues that affect our community. We have several people in mind, and it's going to be really interesting.
Okay, so should we expect, not to give it away, but should we expect local politicians? Should we local?
Probably.
Yeah. Okay.
Hopefully.
Yeah. People who are on point in terms of their conservative values, or in terms of their messaging. Authors and that kind of things.
Sure.
Yes.
We're still brainstorming about it, but yeah, our next guest is going to be Linda Coling. She's a lady who lived in Northern California. She was actually mayor of Foster City up there in Northern California. She's going to be coming on and talking about cities and how our cities are in jeopardy right now because the government wants to bring in more housing. Like, I think Laguna Woods, they want to have about 8,000 more units in Laguna Woods. 8,000, that's a lot.
Right.
So we want local control, and Linda's going to talk about that.
And I guess that's one of the balances I think a lot of cities and a lot of communities deal with is with the population growth, right? There's this demand. We know there's demand out there for housing, but where does it go?
Yeah.
Low-income housing, how do we solve homeless problems in the larger cities, and what things are going on in San Francisco that we all worry about and we see in the news. And so I guess the bigger question is, okay, we don't want to grow these areas, but where does the growth go? Because there's so many challenging things to solve in those areas, right?
Our legislators, our people who run government, it's amazing. I mean, it's such a complex thing.
Right.
Yeah, we got to find solutions to them. So hopefully we'll be shedding light, like Rose said, on these issues, and just, and hopefully it'll be entertaining too. We want it to be fun.
We hope so. We want people to watch.
Right.
And so when you guys talk about like truthful facts,
Yeah.
How are you going to, where are you going to like boil that down to when you bring your guests on?
You know, hindsight is like the best
Right.
revealer of
The Monday
everything.
morning quarterback?
Yeah.
Well, it's the truth. It is
Right.
the truth
That's what
when it becomes revealed that, so all those naysayers regarding COVID, okay, the vaccination program, it's all coming out now that was a big hoax. I'll say it. It was a hoax. So we have a lot of information about that. A lot of things that were ignored in the beginning that
Well, when you say the vaccination program was a hoax, do you mean that there was an ineffective vaccine, or that we didn't need it, or because there were those who argued, hey, we should let this COVID wash over us and let it kind of go through, and that was the best way. Some countries in Europe
Herd
actually,
immunity.
Yes.
yeah,
Sweden.
herd immunity was
Sweden
one
did
of
that.
the. So when you say hoax, what do you mean by that part of it?
Well, no, the part of it about wearing masks and locking people down and the damage that did, that was tremendous, and it
Sure.
wasn't necessary. And we had the Barrington Declaration. They talked about, these are highly esteemed people. They said we don't have to do this, but they were shut down. But now they've come around to be right.
Well, I mean, there's certain, for instance, masks. People were like, well, it's not protecting us. I'm not protected when I wear a mask. Right, you're not. But if I have a mask on and if I cough, and it's going to at least help in terms of those droplets and those kinds of things. So I mean, there's some
Diminish them, yeah.
Diminish. So I mean, I think shutting down schools is probably, in hindsight, like you say, probably the worst thing we could have done for our children.
no.
And making them them not going to school, they lost this whole
Yes.
year in their lives, and it
Yes.
was definitely detrimental in
Yes.
major ways.
Yes.
And so I can see how there's that argument, that debate, and every 100 years, I guess, every pandemic, we're going to get some things wrong and get some things right. So I think those are the big challenges in figuring
Yes.
out, like you guys say, in hindsight,
Yes.
where do we go from here, and how do we make these better for the next time?
And one of the things with misinformation, if some of the information that was coming out earlier was heeded, was actually looked at and not suppressed, that's where we could have, prevented so much damage that
But
occurred.
do you give some sort of acknowledgement in terms of like nobody knew what to do? Like, okay, let's try this, let's try this.
Yeah, it was
like throwing a lot of stuff
It was
at the
new.
wall.
I mean, we hadn't experienced a pandemic since the 1900s.
Right. That's the thing. I think there was a lot of lost knowledge from the first
Yes.
time, and then okay, oh my gosh, what do we really do?
Yep.
And I think there was a plan in place. So here's what we're going to do for a pandemic, and boy, did it not work.
Yeah, it was scary, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We were all glued to the TV
We
for
were.
those first times.
Yeah.
But Senator Ron Johnson said, he acknowledged in a recent roundtable discussion, and we talk about it on the show,
Right.
but he said, we have to admit what we don't know.
Right.
That's humble.
Well, I want to thank you both for coming in here. Light on America is going to be on Village Television,
Yeah.
and look forward to the premiere of that program.
Thank
you,
you.
Ro.
Thank you,
and,
Michael.
thank you, guys. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
coming in.
Michael.
And we'll be right back.